So with us, we have untold possibilities within us, all of which remain hidden. Why? Because we choose, because of our conditioning that we gave permission to.
Mm-hmm.
Because of our conditioning, we've covered those things up and then say it's dark. It's like turning off the light and say, oh, too bad it's dark. Well, turn the lights on.
Yeah.
So is the conditioning also like our parents and the conditioning sort of external also, that maybe if we're being raised and our parents have a limited way of thinking and perceiving things, and they pass that down to us, and then the school system, like if you don't fit into their way of teaching, it's like, oh, maybe you have behavior problems or ADHD, or is that part of the conditioning?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
But remember, we have to agree to it. Some people rebel. You wonder why.
Agree to it, or we just don't know any better.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. We think that's normal.
Yeah.
So in that conflict, on one side, the underdogs was Krishna.
Oh.
Yeah. He told both parties, you're all one family. I'm not going to take sides. So I'll make you a deal. One side gets my army, the other side gets me. You pick. And the underdog said, you're worth more than your army. So they picked him. So he's on that side. Both armies are arrayed on both sides, and they're ready to fight, ready to start fighting. The general, the person in charge of the larger army says, just wait. And the other generals are getting impatient. What are we waiting for? Everything is ready.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. He said, no, something's about to happen. I said, of course something's about to happen. A war is about to start. He said, no, just wait. So they're standing there, and then suddenly they see the chariot that Krishna is driving from the opposite side start to move forward. And they think, now? No, wait. It comes right into the center of the both sides and just stops. And the hero, if you will, like the person who's stopping the start of the hostilities, is just staring intensely at them. It turns out the warrior whose chariot Krishna was driving, a very famous hero, who by himself could defeat maybe the whole army, they say. But he said, take me right to the middle between the two armies. I want to see who I'm facing. And there, he suddenly starts asking not a military question, but a philosophical question. And Krishna's answer is the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
So this venerable old person on this side, who everybody looked up to and who kept saying, wait, could see something that was about to happen that nobody else could. It turned out that, centuries later, we're still studying that work.
Mm-hmm.
In the instant of the time, it looks like, nothing's happening, or why is this happening, and we're asking. But actually, in the fullness of time, you see, everything has a meaning. This is a long-winded way of saying, when I'm sitting on the subway, who knows what's the meaning behind this?
It reminds me of, I think I've shared this with MT. You know what I'm going to do actually before? So those of us who are listening, you've joined us in mid-conversation with our guest today, Kumar Murty, and he is a professor of mathematics at the University of Toronto. He is an author of The Science of Human Possibilities, which is a book that guides readers to deepen their spiritual insight and sharpen their mental acuities. Acuities.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous having you here because I failed math. I'm horrible at math. MT did incredible with math. We are very thrilled that you are here.
Yeah.
But there's this other Japanese proverb of this Japanese farmer, and he's plowing his field, and when he does, I don't know if you've heard it, where the horse takes off, and his neighbor's like, oh, what bad fortune, you're not going to be able to yield a big crop. And the farmer said, could be good, could be bad, who knows? And then the horse comes back, and with it, 4 wild horses follow it. And the neighbor's like, oh, you're going to have such good fortune, you're going to be able to yield a bigger crop. And the farmer's like, could be good, could be bad, who knows? And then the next day, his son tries to break one of the wild horses, and he falls and breaks his leg. And then the next day the military comes and he can't go to the military because his leg is broken. And so the whole thing of like, is something good or bad? We don't really know.
That's right.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Because of the limited view of time that we have.
Yes.
So it's interesting, though, you think that you're a professor of math and we have you with us on this podcast. And it's because your book, The Science of Human Possibilities, doesn't talk about math. It talks a lot about how, actually I took a lot of notes. So I did have a lot of notes. How we can use our daily, even vocabulary, our religion, our spirituality, our environment to really guide us into how we speak and who we are. And I think a good example, I think that really resonated with me in the book and similar to your story is about the tiger that was killed but gave birth to a baby tiger. Can you tell us that story and how it kind of relates to the human psychology?
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, it
because,
is.
It's interesting the way we're conversing now. We're doing it all through stories. I told you a story,
Yes,
you told me a story, and now you're asking me about another story. It's the very, very powerful form of communicating ideas that are too subtle to be seen straight on, so to speak. Because there's
Good point. Yeah.
so many nuances that our mind opens up to the story and thereby lets in the hidden treasures by which we gain a deeper understanding. So this story is very innocuous, So there's a tiger that is stalking a flock of goats or sheep, and then it's a female tiger and it's pregnant, and just as it's about to pounce, it dies. It gets hit by an arrow, and in dying, it gives birth to this baby tiger. And then the sheep, rather than running away, see this helpless baby tiger and take it into the flock and bring it up slowly. And of course, it becomes a sheep. It becomes its parents are. It's like in Kung Fu Panda. The panda becomes like its father. I think is a goose. So it eats grass. It bleeds. But it's growing up. Physically, it's a tiger. And so after it becomes an adult, it's still behaving the same way. But then another tiger is stalking this flock, and then is surprised to see an adult tiger in the midst of what it considers as prey. And so it decides, I got to find out what's going on. What is this about? So it finds its moment and drags this tiger away and says, "What are you doing here? What are you? You're a tiger." He says, No, I'm a sheep. Let me go. Don't eat me. Says, No, look, come here. And it shows its reflection in a pond. Look at my reflection and look at your reflection. We're the same. Then it starts to doubt. Even then it doesn't believe. It starts, just a minute, what is this? And then the wild tiger gives it a piece of meat and says, eat this. And at first it finds it disgusting. Then it starts to relish it. And it says, this is your food. You're a tiger. Now roar like me. And it tries and it is able to roar. And then suddenly it discovers it didn't become a tiger that instant. It was always a tiger. So with us, we have untold possibilities within us, all of which remain hidden. Why? Because we choose, because of our conditioning that we gave permission to. Because of our conditioning, we've covered those things up. And then say it's dark. It's like turning off the light and say, "Oh, too bad it's dark." Well, turn the lights on.
So is the conditioning also like our parents, and the conditioning sort of external also, that maybe if we're being raised and our parents have a limited way of thinking and perceiving things, and they pass that down to us, and then the school system, like if you don't fit into their way of teaching, it's like, oh, maybe you have behavior problems or ADHD, or is that part of the conditioning?
It absolutely is. But remember, we have to agree to it. Some people rebel. You wonder why.
Agree to it, or we just don't know any better.
Exactly. Yes. We think that's normal.
Yeah.
But you see, at various stages, people do rebel. Sometimes we find, why is this kid always, doing the wrong thing or something. But actually, maybe there's something going on there.
Yes.
Yeah?
It's something going on in the sense that he feels or she feels that the conditions are too strong in life. Is that?
They may not be able to articulate it that clearly, but something's not right. Something is not right. And if we were sufficiently evolved to be able to really communicate, we'd be able to get in touch with that person and say, figure out what the issue is. But we don't. We're not that evolved. We don't figure it out. We think this is a special needs child.
Yes. Yes. So you had asked us to watch Kung Fu Panda. Have you ever seen Interstellar?
No. Oh, that's no. I think I might have seen it on a flight once.
So I'm going to ask you to watch that.
Okay.
Because it's one of my favorite movies, and I find it very
I've never seen it.
Yeah, you should watch it too.
Interstellar?
Is it Interstellar, Chris? That's how you say it, or Interstellar?
I think it's Interstellar.
Interstellar.
No?
Interstellar.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Is it where he travels deep into space, but then comes back home and is not visible? But
it's all about time and quantum physics and time and space and.
I think doesn't like math. You're really going into
I find quantum physics fascinating, but it also just about love, what we do for love. Like I mean, I sob every time I watch the movie. But you should. But just that whole when you were talking earlier about time and space, I find that fascinating, and quantum physics I find fascinating.
From one point of view, a philosophical point of view, time and space are not real. They're psychological constructs, because you see how difficult it is to define either of these words. What is time? You cannot define it independently of something else.
Time is the present moment.
So you have to then define, you're using what you're trying to define in the definition, because when you say present, that already assumes time, yeah. So can you define it by itself? You can say it's the interval between things and so on.
Time, what I'm experiencing now, what I'm...
Okay, but you are experiencing many things right now.
Okay.
They're not all time.
Okay, I've never looked at that. There's not real good definition. Yeah.
But then if you think time is too abstract or esoteric, what about space? What is space? You can't define it independently of something else, you know.
Interesting. So the title of your book, The Science of Human Possibilities, like what does that even mean? Like what is a foundation of that title?
So it is, you can think of it in two different ways, either from a philosophical point of view or an existential point of view.
Okay.
The existential point of view is we all have some aspirations in life. We want to be happy, we want to be successful, we want to have purpose or meaning in life. And sometimes we find that we are able to make progress in that direction, and sometimes we feel frustrated or blocked in that direction. And then we're liable to say that, well, this is as much as can be done. This is as much as I can do. Some people just are lucky. They can be more successful than me. And this book is telling you, no. Just because your present circumstances don't reflect that, don't believe that it's not possible for you. There is deep within you, as I quote Swami Vivekananda, he says, you know but little of that which is within you. Just start developing it. So just on a purely existential level, it says, you weren't wrong to want success. You weren't wrong to want happiness or love or compassion or meaning in life. It's there, only you have to go about it systematically to look for it and develop it. Doing anything systematically makes it into a science.
Oh, okay.
So that's the existential side.
Interesting.
Philosophically, now you can also ask, who am I? What is the human being? And then we go deeper and deeper into the nature of being. And we come to a level where we say that thing has no limitations. Who I am in essence has no limitations. And so infinite are my possibilities.
Can you braid the two together?
Absolutely. Because at no moment in time are we separated from that. I am both. This is a mystery. In Indian philosophy, it keeps coming up back and again, how the infinite and the finite can sort of coexist. But they do. We don't know how, but they do. We are the examples of that.
You talk in the book Oh, you make reference to, and I remember, with my daughters going to school that, if someone's not good at a subject, for example, let's use math in this, and Helen, and yet as a society will do all that they can or we can to help that person become better at math, tutors and more homework and more one-on-one, rather than all that energy to something that is a struggle, move it to something that they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not be good at math, but you're excellent with art side of you. So put that energy into the arts.
Which is connected, art and math.
Yes,
which is funny.
But instead of the formula on paper and it's putting all that energy and you're like banging your head against the wall, reverse the energy and the focus into the positive of and learning into what you are good at.
But how does that though, Kumar? How does that work though when it's say you want to be a doctor or you want to be an architect or there's a profession, but math is sort of the foundation of it. How do you work around that?
So the answer is you don't need to be an expert on everything. You need to know who the experts are and you need to know how to ask the question. So let's say I'm to be a doctor. Okay, there's some basic things I do need to know. But when it becomes more sophisticated than that, let's say I'm in medical research, then I partner. I mean, there are people all around, there are really talented people all around me. Why don't I partner with them? They're good at what they do. I'm good at what I do. I'm comfortable with that and you're comfortable with that. And together we can do something really beautiful together that we couldn't do separately.
How do you pass the exams, though, if you're not good at math?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So the question is how do you reconcile the ideal and the practical? So everything is based on your understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So the exam, as long as you think of it as a necessary evil that I need to get past to do what I really want to do, it's going to be an evil. The moment you say, this is my key, this is the portal that's going to unlock my future, all I need to do is ace this exam and it's going to open up a wonderful world that I want to be in. And then my attitude changes. You see, exactly why am I doing this changes. And the resistance will, I think, if not melt away, it will certainly be less fierce than.
And you do better. I remember taking this course on happiness it was an online course through Berkeley University. And it said, before you write a test, think of things that you love or a happy moment in your life. And it completely changes, I don't know what the technical word is, but you become more open when you're writing instead of that, oh my God, I hope I do well, because the fear starts to shut you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Where if you can just take that moment and think of something that lights you up or that's joyous, you'll actually do better with your exams.
With your lines,
And not only exams, but everything in life. I mean, let's say, for example, we get tensed up because we have a podcast to do.
You didn't get tensed up coming in.
When the moment you open up, you relax, you're talking to friends, you're exploring something you really love.
Yes.
It just changes completely.
It's so true.
So I wish, in our educational system, formally or informally, we have some time set aside to help people learn the art of learning, learn the art of doing.
Yeah.
It is all about attitudes.
And that leads to a question I had here is like, why is learning a mystery?
Learning is a mystery for many reasons. In fact, it's you see, the fact that I'm making this noise called speaking, but through that, some deep ideas, or you're speaking, some deep ideas are going from you to me or from me to you. That's magical, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, because if you say, show me your idea, I can't, it's in my head.
Yes.
Then how am I going to tell me? Well, I'm going to speak these words, and now, okay, let's look at these words. What does this word mean? What does this word mean? And we try to explain what the words mean, and we say nothing captures what really my idea is. And yet, when I'm putting it all together, that communication is taking place. Isn't that a miracle?
Yes.
That is the magic of learning. And you come away, at first I thought I didn't understand, I didn't know, I even apprehensive. I go away with saying, I understand.
Mhm.
Isn't that a miracle? It is so magical and a miracle that in Indian iconography, in theology, that particular thing of knowledge and learning is epitomized.
Mm.
It's given a name. It's Saraswati, that the goddess of learning. It's given a feminine form, in
Mhm.
fact. It's the mother of knowledge. And it's worshipped. That idea is worshipped because I can't explain how it happens. It happens and it's magical.
I feel when you're talking, part of the learning is community and how we come together, where you're saying, you could partner up with someone. So maybe I wasn't good at math, but you were, but I was great at writing, and you partner up.
Yep.
But now we're living in a time with technology that I feel that we are becoming more isolated. So if you want an answer, you don't call Kumar, I don't call MT, you look it up online. Right. And we're not that simple act of needing help and needing people. And then that gift that we give people when they can do that is kind of missing.
You're right. You see, it's a matter of our getting, adjusting rather ourselves to the presence of technology. I say technology is perfect when it becomes invisible. Technology should, sorry, you want to say this?
Yeah, no. Say, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so technology should not make us jump through. We're not the dogs of technology. Technology is here, jump through this loop. So you remember when everyone got a PC first. Okay, before, when you want to write something, you sit in your easy chair, you take a pad and you write and you dream a little bit. Now you're staring at a screen, typing this thing. And now, and now we have more sophisticated things than a desktop or a laptop. We have our phones. And now instead of interacting with you and saying hello when I pass you by, I'm listening to something else, or I'm in somewhere else.
Yes.
It's making me behave the way it wants me to behave. That's got to change. We've got to let technology be there, but be invisible. It's an enabler. I was trying to communicate with you before. Now I want to be able to communicate even more effectively using technology.
How can that be possible when it's the world is technology? It's like, how do you? I mean, it's easy for us because we grew up that way, so we know how to go back to that. But today's generation, who are born with technology in their face, how do you tell them park that?
So I think change happens one person at a time.
Yeah.
So let's say you're a parent, you have children. Well, you have a choice in how you bring up your children up to a point. I mean, afterwards they will do what they want to do.
Yes.
You are a teacher, you have students in your class, you'll say, for this 1 hour, no phones, no computers, no tablets.
Yeah.
You're going to take a good old piece of paper and a pen. No pictures of the board. Nowadays, so students take notes.
What would they say in restaurants? It takes them longer to clear tables because the customers are taking so many pictures of their food.
I know.
They're not eating.
Yeah. But I think though what Kumar said, you do this with your girls though, because you are off your phone by a certain time. You have a do not disturb. So you're setting examples for your daughters of doing that.
Yeah, I do. I need to, even this evening, I said, I'm just going to give myself the evening to live as to cook. Someone that wants to make dinner and just watch TV and communicate with my partner versus.
But even that, you were saying the pen, writing down notes. I remember reading something that now we type it in, but actually that pen to paper, you retain the information more when you're writing it by hand.
Absolutely. And did you know there is Carl Sagan? I don't know if you remember him. No. He was a famous astronomer at Cornell University, but he's famous because of a book he wrote called Cosmos, and PBS made a series of it. It's a really beautiful series. But there he gives you a graph. I don't know how he got this graph, but a graph of how much gray matter is used in various activities. And the most amount of gray matter is in making this mudra. Which is what you do when you hold a pen.
Yes.
That means that the human being.
So basically, you're putting your first two fingers together on your thumb and holding it like you would a pen.
Yeah. So that requires a very sophisticated brain
Yes.
to be able to. So it's a human. we've evolved to the human stage. It's a privilege, an ability that we have to be able to hold.
Do you want to explain just for those who are listening and not watching it? We know what it is, but what a mudra is?
Mm-hmm. So a mudra is a position. It's often spoken about in either yoga or in dance, in various art forms.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Indian dance, for example, it's watch carefully what they do with their hands and their fingers, and they're putting it in certain positions. So this position where your forefinger and your thumb come together, or your first two fingers and the thumb come together, that's a particular mudra.
Okay.
Sometimes in Buddhist thought also, which is an evolution of Hindu thought, you adopt certain mudras during a reflective meditation. But this is a very important point, that these are not easy things to do. Animals, you don't find able to do. Chimpanzees, some can do something like this, but it's a very sophisticated movement and shows the stage of evolution that the human being has come to.
I love that, because I don't use my phone as my calendar. I write everything down in my book. I write all my notes, and then I go to my laptop and print and write them out after making reference to my written notes. All my thoughts are always pen to paper, never from my head to the screen first.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's good.
Gosh,
and I just love the move, because when I do certain meditations, like Sa, Ta, you do the touching of the fingers and stuff. So we have to start to wrap this up. But before we do, you are Hindu?
Yes, I'm Hindu.
Yes. Okay. What do you think happens to us when we die?
So any answer I give to that is speculation.
Yes.
Because as far as I know, nobody has died and come back to tell us what happened. So it's speculation. I think that if you ask, what is it that propels us in life? Before we die, what is it that even propels us in life? It is desire. I want to do something. I want to be something. I want to think something. I want to achieve something. And then I go out trying to figure out, how do I do that? Now, where does desire live? It doesn't live in the physical body. It lives in the mind. Now, in Indian psychology, mind is also matter, a subtle form of matter. So matter can exist in different stages of subtleness. So they say mind is a kind of subtle matter. Now, there is a kind of energy that is set forward of a desire to be or do something, or some kind of desire. When the physical body drops, what happens to thought? What happens to that force of desire?
It goes stagnant. It dies. So you think, or it can go. Yeah,
so
or
the question is, when energy is set in motion, it has to find a fulfillment. And so, from the point of view of Indian philosophy, I keep, by the way, using the word Indian philosophy. It's not a monolithic thing, though there are many different points of view. But one point of view in Indian philosophy is that very desire will propel forward to find manifestation.
Interesting.
Because that energy doesn't dissipate.
Right.
It is not loose energy. It is a focused energy.
Yes.
It will seek fulfillment.
Thank you.
Yes. I love that.
Do
we have time for more questions?
Yes, I think we should wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
It's just not enough time.
You are just such a gentle soul.
Just talking to you is just very...
Yeah. It's very, very lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the journey and coming here and just sharing your wisdom with us. We so appreciate that. And what we will do in the notes, we'll have about your book and any contact information. So if one of people explore you more and your book more, they can do that. To our listeners.
Yes. And thank you. And I think if I could have ever experienced being a student in your math classroom, I would...
Well, you already
did.
Well,
but I would go back and redo my calculus, algebra, and functions.
Yeah. I might have gotten a C if you were my teacher.
Anyway, it was wonderful.
It's fantastic talking to you guys.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.